Revealed, the heartwarming truth behind a $1 million kiss that transformed a wedding forever. In the quaint town of Maplewood, where autumn leaves drift like golden memories and the small-town diner buzzes with laughter and love, Sarah served plates of hope alongside the coffee. Life as a waitress came with long hours but also with laughter, warmth, and the clinking of silverware that felt like family. Raising her 10-year-old son Eli, who dreamed of culinary glory, made every shift worthwhile. But the weight of their economic struggles often pressed heavy on Sarah's heart, a consuming ache that never fully dissipated. Yet, surrounded by the caring folks of Maplewood, she held on to her dreams. Then, one crisp fall day, an extravagant couple arrived to plan their lavish wedding. The bride, draped in designer silk, strutted with an air of entitlement, her diamond tiara shimmering brighter than the authenticity of the locals. Quaint, she had called the town, smirking at its charm as if it were merely a backdrop for her grand vision. Intrigued, Sarah seized the chance for extra income and was hired as a server for the affair, an opportunity that could help Eli take cooking classes. Perhaps this was the break she'd been waiting for. But just days later, a simple, innocent comment about the bride's floral arrangements twisted into a collision of class misunderstandings. "Oh darling, some roses would simply elevate the decor," the bride scoffed, glaring at Sarah with contempt. The slight stung like a bee, and Sarah felt the heat rush to her face, a tightness forming in her chest. She quickly apologized, but the damage was done. As the wedding day loomed nearer, miscommunication and tension escalated. The charming aura surrounding the couple felt threatened, shrouded by whispers of dissatisfaction as guests murmured about the lack of elegance. Sarah's heart sank. She replayed the wedding's anticipated failure in her mind like a terrible film loop. Yet among the mounting anxiety, emotion simmered beneath the surface, cracks and vulnerabilities that blinded the couple to the brilliance of the community. But just when all hope seemed lost, a kiss, the kind that shatters boundaries and breathes life back into dreams, transpired between the couple. The guests held their breath as the moment hung in the air, the vulnerability altering the atmosphere entirely. In that unexpected display of love, Sarah glimpsed shared humanity. The kiss, which carried the weight of sacrifice woven with the simple joys of life, transformed everything. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. As the night unfolded, the wealthy couple found themselves looking through new eyes. They saw Sarah's strength not just as a server, but as a resilient single mom embodying hope and purpose. In a spontaneous twist, they gifted Eli a culinary scholarship right there on the dance floor, a startling act of recognition and kindness. As Sarah held the letter in her trembling hands, tears welled into her eyes. Yet, an uncertainty tugged at her heart. Could she really accept help from those once so far removed from her life? With potential paths stretching before them filled with promise but intertwining uncertainty, Sarah and Eli's journey was only beginning. Would this scholarship illuminate the way forward, or would it draw lines of division that could haunt their beloved Maplewood? Their dreams danced on the edge of reality, waiting to unfold. As Sarah stood there, the scholarship letter crumpled in her hands, a whirlwind of emotions crashed over her. Eli's eyes sparkled with hope, unaware of the storm brewing inside her. This couldn't be real. Wasn't charity a reminder of her struggle, a spotlight on her limitations? And yet, the possibilities danced before her like the flickering candlelight surrounding them. Eli bounced on his heels, arms raised in triumph. "Mom! This is amazing!" His innocent joy tugged at her heartstrings, exposing the bittersweet truth of her predicament. She wanted to scream, to share in his delight, but doubt shaded her smile. What if it changes things? She whispered, glancing around the room peppered with elegance and affluence. Would receiving help from this couple borrow her son's dreams with strings attached? The laughter of guests echoed like a haunting jingling in her ears, a reminder of the distance between their worlds. The bride, now glowing in her designer gown, beckoned Sarah over. "Come, let us celebrate this moment," she exclaimed. The earlier disdain melted away in warm enthusiasm. Sarah hesitated, but the urge to support Eli's future pushed her to step forward. As the couple shared their story of love and connection, there was an undeniable shift. The glares and whispers faded into hushed conversations about unity and acceptance. They truly seemed transformed, as if that single kiss opened locked doors. It struck Sarah that perhaps they had been blinded by their own worlds, just as she had moments ago. Maybe, just maybe, kindness could bridge the chasm between classes. "Thank you for being so lovely tonight, Sarah," the groom said, a heartfelt sincerity in his voice. "It's people like you who remind us what really matters." His words washed over her like a rush of wind, filling her with unexpected warmth. Sarah's heart raced. Could the high society of Maplewood begin to see the value in ordinary lives? Might this be the start of something more significant, not just for their family, but for the entire town? She dared to imagine a future where community and wealth recognized each other not as dividers, but as partners. Eli was pulling at her sleeve, his excitement bubbling up. "Can we do cooking classes with the scholarship, Mom? I want to learn to make the best pasta. It's going to be amazing." His energy was infectious, pulling her momentarily from her own worries. "Absolutely, buddy," she replied, her voice firmer, the burden of doubt slightly lifted. Suddenly, she felt a sliver of that weighty ache start to dissolve, replaced by an inkling of hope. What if she let herself believe this could be a turning point? As the night wore on, laughter and joy continued to fill the reception hall, weaving a new fabric of connection. Sarah marveled at the beauty of the moment, the lights twinkling above and the tenderness shared among guests. Perhaps the wounds of the past weren't too deep to heal? But when the music slowed and soft voices turned to quiet reflections, Sarah caught sight of the bride staring at her with unshed tears in her eyes. There was a raw honesty there, the kind that could break down walls. "What if she sees me for who I am?" Sarah thought. The idea brought a rush of both fear and vulnerability. Could crossing that invisible line change everything for both of them? Just as Sarah opened her mouth to speak, Eli tugged on her hand, pulling her back to their own little world, unaware of the monumental shift about to take place. "Mom, look! They're cutting the cake!" he exclaimed, eyes wide with wonder. A moment of pure joy pierced through her swirling thoughts, but Sarah couldn't shake the feeling that they stood at the edge of something significant. What revelations awaited her in the exchange of stories yet to be shared? And would accepting this kindness lead to bonds that surpassed their differences, or would it risk exposing raw, vulnerable truths that everyone would rather avoid? In that precious silence, everything felt suspended. With the evening's magic enveloping her, Sarah felt uncertainty peel away, leaving only the tangible warmth of possibilities ahead. What awaited them beyond the glittering dance floor? As the cake was sliced, the air filled with anticipation and the smell of sweet vanilla wafted through the room. Sarah watched Eli bounce with excitement, eyes sparkling like the stars outside. For a moment, the worries that had clouded her heart began to drift away. Perhaps this night could mark a turning point, a bridge to a future brimming with promise. "Wow, that's a big cake!" Eli exclaimed, as the bride and groom leaned over the towering confection, ready to share the first slice with each other. Their joy was infectious, laughter ringing out as they took a playful plunge into the frosting. Sarah couldn't help but smile at the pure love that radiated from them, a reminder that hidden joys still existed, even when life felt heavy. "Can I have some chocolate frosting, please?" Eli pleaded, pulling at her hand again. "Of course, let us get in line," she responded, her spirit lifting with his enthusiasm. As they approached the dessert table, the swirl of guests around them felt vibrant and alive, a bright collage of colors and laughter. Sarah, for the first time in a while, felt part of something bigger than herself. But as she savored the moment, her attention was caught by the bride again. The woman had left her circle of friends and was now standing alone near the edge of the dance floor. Her gaze met Sarah's, and a flood of emotions washed over her. Those teary eyes held a gravity that made Sarah's heart race. She felt an undeniable pull, like an invisible thread connecting their experiences. "Eli, wait here for a second, okay?" Sarah said, trying to keep her voice steady. With tentative steps, she approached the bride, whose smile was tinged with uncertainty. "Hi," Sarah began, her voice quiet yet firm. "I just wanted to say your wedding is beautiful." "Thank you," the bride replied, her voice tinged with sincerity. "It's more wonderful than I ever imagined. But I've been meaning to talk to you." Surprise flickered across Sarah's face. "Me? Why?" "There's something about your story, your resilience. It resonates with me. I wanted to know if you'd be open to sharing it," she said, hesitating. "Maybe with the foundation that's sponsoring the scholarship? Your journey could inspire others." Sarah's stomach churned with unease, her past flashing before her eyes. Doubt tightened its grip on her heart. Sharing her story could expose vulnerabilities she wasn't ready to confront. "But I'm just a single mom. What would my experiences mean to anyone?" "More than you think," the bride urged, reaching out to touch Sarah's arm. "Your story is powerful. It holds hope. People need to hear it." Sarah swallowed hard. It was so easy to ignore her wounds, hide behind her ordinary struggles. But what if she could step beyond those fears, just once? And what if sharing her truth could light a path for others, just as Eli's excitement had lit up her night? "Maybe," she finally replied, her voice shaky yet somehow filled with possibility. The thought of being seen, truly seen, made her heart race. "I'll think about it." As she walked back to Eli, unsure of where that conversation would lead, a sense of urgency prickled in her heart. The night was growing late, but the energy within her felt electric, a voltage of hope. "Did you get the special frosting?" Eli asked, bouncing up and down with glee, dragging her back into the moment. With a laugh, Sarah nodded. "Yep. And I've got a few special thoughts to chew on too." As they took their seats at a small table, laughter and music danced around them, and Sarah realized something pivotal was shifting inside her. Could she really change the narrative of her life? As Eli leaned over to share his frosting-laden cake, Sarah gazed out at the crowd, her heart swelling. She felt the potential for change swirling around them like the sparkles glimmering in the air. But just as a new chapter seemed to open, Sarah spotted something from the corner of her eye, a movement at the door that caught her attention. A familiar face stood silhouetted in the light, alive with emotion and intent. What would happen when this unexpected visitor stepped into her world? Sarah's heart skipped a beat as she recognized the figure in the doorway. It couldn't be, but there he stood, solid as a statue, his expression a mixture of eagerness and trepidation. Jacob. The one person from her past she thought she'd left behind, a name whispered only in the shadows of her memory. At that moment, Eli's laughter faded into the background, muffled by the pounding of Sarah's heart. She felt the room twist around her, colors dimmed, music turned to static as Jacob stepped forward, weaving through guests who barely noticed the emotional storm brewing between them. "Sarah?" he called, a hint of disbelief tightening his voice. It felt as if time had folded in on itself, pulling them back to a chapter they had both tried to close. She couldn't help but look up, heart racing, anticipation battling with anxiety. "Jacob," she managed, her voice barely rising above a whisper. He paused, searching her face as if he were trying to read a book long forgotten. Was that regret flickering in his eyes, or was it something else? Memories surged to the forefront, laughter shared, dreams whispered in quiet corners, a love that had once felt infinite, now reduced to echoes of the past. "Things have changed, haven't they?" he said, a bittersweet smile tugging at his lips. "You look amazing. I mean, it's been so long." A laugh escaped her, tinged with disbelief. "Yeah, almost 5 years." They stood there, a fragile bridge built from shared history. She remembered how easily she had breathed around him, how he made everything feel right. But alongside that memory lived the pain of what had happened. The separation. The silence. Eli, sensing the shift in the air, began tugging at Sarah's sleeve. "Mom, who is he?" Before she could respond, Jacob knelt to Eli's level, eyes twinkling with warmth. "I'm Jacob. A very good friend of your mom's. We used to know each other really well." "Like, best friends?" Eli asked, curiosity bubbling. "Something like that," Sarah said, the weight of past feelings sinking deeper into her chest. Jacob straightened, locking eyes with her again, his expression turning serious. "Can we talk? Just for a minute?" There was urgency in his voice, a hint of warmth that could melt the frigid walls Sarah had built around herself. But as she looked into those familiar eyes, she wondered what a conversation could change now that everything felt so fragile. The implications twisted around in her mind. Could he really still be part of her story? Despite the tightness in her throat, she nodded, leading him away from the merry chaos of the wedding. They found a secluded corner by the bar, the muted music offering a backdrop to the unfolding tension. "Sarah, I know this is unexpected, but I had to see you," Jacob started. "I regret how things ended between us. I've thought about you every day." His words hung thick in the air, and for the first time in years, Sarah felt a flicker of something she thought she'd buried. Hope? Longing? It made her dizzy. Could they really pick up the pieces? "Why now?" she asked, heart racing. "Why after all this time?" "Because I need you to know I haven't forgotten. And I want to make things right," he said, his voice steady yet vulnerable. As possibility opened before her like a fragile flower, Sarah sensed the weight of a crossroads. She could embrace this moment, the unexpected chance to reshape her past. But was she ready to confront the emotions that threatened to spill over? The music swelled, laughter grew louder, and in the distance, Eli played with his dessert, blissfully unaware of the storm brewing between them. "Sarah," Jacob urged, taking a step closer, "I can't walk away a second time." Sarah's breath caught, heart pounding with the gravity of his words. What would she decide? Stay in the safe cocoon she had built, or reach out to what once was? Just as she opened her mouth to respond, Eli's joyful squeal cut through the moment, brightening the heavy air. "Mom! Can you come see this?" Sarah hesitated, torn between the pull of her son's innocence and the magnetism of Jacob's presence, each fraught with uncharted emotions waiting to unfurl. What would she choose when the stakes felt so high? Sarah's heart raced as she turned back to Eli, who bounced on his toes, a smear of chocolate frosting across his cheek. That innocent joy tugged at her, a reminder of the life she had built, the moments she had cherished. But glancing back at Jacob brought a rush of memories that made her stomach twist. "What is it, honey?" she asked, trying to capture the cautious balance of her emotions. "Look! I made a tower!" Eli exclaimed, pointing proudly at his dessert creation, a leaning stack of cupcakes barely holding together. Her son's enthusiasm was infectious. Yet, as she knelt to appreciate his masterpiece, her mind still flickered with images of Jacob, the laughter, the warmth, the love. But all of that was also shadowed by pain. "Wow, this is amazing!" she exclaimed, forcing a smile as she ruffled his hair. Eli's grin widened, and for a moment, her worries slipped away, replaced by the comfort of motherhood. But as she stood to face Jacob again, she felt the weight of unspoken words between them, heavy and pressing. His eyes held a universe of longing, tinted with uncertainty. You didn't answer me. Did you really think just showing up would fix everything? Sarah asked, a tinge of anger rising in her voice. I know it sounds desperate, he replied, his tone earnest. But seeing you again? It's made me realize how much I regret my choices. The warmth of the wedding buzzed softly around them, but in that secluded corner, everything felt suspended, as if they were the only two people in the room. Jacob, there's so much at stake. It's not just about us anymore, she said, glancing at Eli. I have responsibilities. You left. You can't just come back as if nothing happened. For a moment, regret shadowed Jacob's face. I know I messed up. But what if we could try again? It doesn't have to be the same. We've both grown. Grown? Sarah repeated, her voice barely above a whisper. What do you even know about my life now? I've built a wall so high to protect Eli and myself. I want to help you break it down, he insisted, stepping closer, eyes pleading. You were the best part of my life. Things aren't that simple, Jacob. The turmoil churned inside her. She thought about the times she sat awake at night, wishing for the warmth of his embrace, the easy laughter they shared. Maybe things shouldn't be simple. He looked past her shoulder, aware of the joyful noise of the wedding but focused solely on her. Let us stop pretending that we don't feel this connection. I can't just walk away. A silence fell between them, heavy with questions and longing. Sarah's heart pounded against her ribs, caught in a web of indecision. Could she really invite Jacob back? Could she risk the fragile world she had painstakingly created? Mom! Eli's call broke through again, his little voice filled with excitement. Come play with me. Sarah turned to see him waving from across the room, his little arms wide open, a world of innocence encapsulated in that one gesture. Just, give me some time, she said softly to Jacob, swallowing the fear that crept back into her heart. I need to think. Time isn't the only thing we've lost, Jacob said, more to himself. Sarah walked away, forcing thoughts of the past back into a corner of her mind as she approached her son. Eli hugged her tightly, oblivious to the turmoil swirling around them. Mom, can we make more towers? He beamed, and her heart warmed with his laughter, juxtaposed with the weight of Jacob's words. As she helped Eli balance another cupcake, Sarah couldn't shake the feeling that this was just the beginning. With every smile, every bubbling laugh from her son, the choices loomed larger before her. Would she allow Jacob back into her life, fostering hope and questioning everything she had built? For now, she could only breathe and hold on to the moment, knowing that sooner or later, she would have to face the truth. As the wedding atmosphere swirled with laughter, Sarah felt the air thicken with destiny, waiting for her to make a choice. What was she willing to risk in the name of love? Eli tugged at Sarah's hand, pulling her back into the joyful chaos of the wedding reception. Families mingled at the tables adorned with flowers, laughter echoed off the walls, and the music played an uplifting tune that never seemed to end. It was a stark contrast to the tumult inside her heart, a world where decisions loomed larger and uncertainties danced in the air. Mom, look! Eli shouted, his little finger pointing at the dance floor where a lively group had formed. Their moves were clumsy but filled with joy, the kind of happiness that felt reckless and free, untouched by the complexities that often burdened adults. Okay, buddy. Let us show them our moves. Sarah replied, forcing a smile as she knelt down to his level. His eyes sparkled with excitement, the weight of her earlier conversation pushed to the back of her mind, if only for a moment. They joined the throng, twirling and spinning. Eli laughed, his joy infectious, as Sarah clumsily mimicked a disco dance. The music filled her with warmth, wrapping around her like a hug. But then, just as she felt lost in the rhythm, Jacob's figure caught her eye. He stood at the edge of the dance floor, watching with both longing and hesitation etched across his features. The greedy tug of emotion surged again, her heart pulled in two directions. She wanted to let the music drown everything else out, yet every beat echoed Jacob's earlier words. What if we could try again? The absurdity of the thought actually made her want to laugh. After all this time, could it really be that simple? Eli turned and saw Jacob. "Look, Mom. It's Mr. Jacob. He looks like he wants to dance too." The innocence in her son's voice made her heart twinge, but that twinge turned into a wave of panic. Surely, she couldn't introduce Jacob back into their lives just like that. Not now. Not when everything felt so fragile. Before she knew it, Eli was bounding over to Jacob, his small legs carrying him with unfiltered excitement. "Wanna dance with us?" the little one asked, beaming while still balancing a cupcake like a trophy in his other hand. Jacob's eyes softened as he looked down at Eli. It was a sight that could melt ice. Her son, so trusting and joyful. "I'd love to join you," he replied, his voice breaking through the noise of the celebration, warm and welcoming. A part of Sarah wanted to pull Eli back, to protect him from the potential heartbreak that followed Jacob like a shadow. But as she stood there, she felt rooted, a spectator in her own life. Eli was not just her little boy, he was a bridge, a connection between her present and the dormant feelings she had once shared with Jacob. Suddenly, she felt the room hush as a couple began to speak into the microphone, and the bride's smile widened. Tonight is not just about celebration, it's about love, a love that can find you when you least expect it. The crowd cheered, but Sarah only heard the words that felt like they were aimed at her. A love that could re-emerge, reshape moments, and fill the cracks of a broken past. "Mom?" Eli's voice cut through her reverie. Sarah looked down to see her son staring at her with wide eyes, eager for her approval. A decision bubbled up in her chest, heavy yet inevitable. Would she allow Jacob in again? Could she embrace what could be? As she watched Eli's innocent excitement, her heart raced not just with fear, but with a tentative spark of hope. Love was complex, messy, and layered, but it also held the potential for healing. "Let us do it," she whispered to herself, stepping forward toward Jacob and the dance floor, a heartbeat away from the past but ready to create something new. But as she reached the edge of the dance circle, what she didn't expect was the sudden hush of the crowd as the bride shared a heartfelt story, revealing a truth that would shake the foundations of Sarah's already wavering resolve. The laughter faded as all eyes turned toward the bride. A hush fell over the crowd, the kind that wraps around you like a thick blanket, heavy and expectant. Sarah felt her heart quicken, uncertainty prickling at her senses. "Thank you all for being here today," the bride began, her voice quivering slightly. "I want to share a story that's been close to my heart." The delicate clinking of glass and soft whispers faded into a serene silence, creating a cocoon around Sarah, who felt sidelined in the very moment she had hoped would shift her life. The bride chuckled softly, reminiscing, "This day was not always set to happen. There was a time when I thought I'd never find my way back to love." Her words felt like threads weaving into Sarah's thick web of emotions. When you think you've lost everything, sometimes, life surprises you in the most beautiful ways. Sarah's eyes flickered back to Jacob, who was slowly making his way toward her and Eli, but all around her seemed to pivot on the bride's every word. "I was lost, unsure, and it took a random encounter, a kiss I never anticipated to turn my world upside down." With each word, Sarah's heart raced, feeling the bubbling intensity of the moment. "That kiss, it was a spark. It reminded me that love isn't about perfection, it's about connection. It's about bravery, taking a leap when you're scared." A collective sigh moved through the crowd, and Sarah felt herself drawn in. Could that really be what love was? Was it truly just about stepping into the unknown? I believe every one of us deserves a second chance at love, an opportunity to fight for what we want. Even after pain. The bride's gaze scanned the sea of faces, pausing for a moment on Sarah, locking eyes as if she knew there were unspoken words heavy in the air. A wave of warmth washed over Sarah, and suddenly, she felt seen. Jacob now reached Eli, who pulled him into a playful spin. But Sarah's eyes stayed locked onto the bride, feeling the urge to either break away or step forward. The words were a torch, illuminating her doubts, flickering with both hope and fear. "Love is messy," the bride continued, her voice clear and unwavering. "But it's also the best kind of chaos. It's about two people finding each other through the noise." The crowd erupted in applause, but within the applause, Sarah's thoughts swirled. Could her own chaos embrace that kind of connection? Eli danced closer to her, his joy radiating like sunshine. "Mom, are you gonna dance with us now?" His innocent smile wrapped around her heart like a soothing balm. Drawing a deep breath, Sarah glanced back at Jacob, who wore an expression that reflected her inner turmoil. He was hopeful but cautious, just like her. The bride wrapped up her speech with a passionate declaration. "So I challenge you tonight to embrace love, to leap, and to dance like there's nothing holding you back. After all, it could lead to the most unexpected but beautiful beginnings." As the music surged back to life, Sarah felt a pull, the weight of her heart pushing her closer to Jacob. "Are you ready?" he asked softly, taking a tentative step toward her, eyes filled with an uncertain hope. Did she dare take the leap? Could she really embrace a love that had already seen so many twists and turns? With the echo of the bride's encouragement still ringing in her ears, Sarah took a breath and made her choice. As she reached for Jacob's hand, the realization washed over her: a journey was just beginning, but plenty remained unsaid. What if the next song would be the first of many steps toward a future she never dared to dream? As Sarah's fingers brushed against Jacob's, a fresh wave of electricity pulsed through her. It felt surreal, as if the whole world had melted away, leaving just the two of them enveloped in a moment that was theirs alone. Eli squealed with delight and tugged them toward the dance floor, his laughter bubbling like a carefree melody in the air. "Come on, Mom. Dance with us." Eli's enthusiasm was infectious. It reminded Sarah of simpler times, when she had danced in the living room with him after school, the chaos of their lives forgotten, just the two of them twirling under the warm glow of afternoon light. With a hesitant smile, Sarah nodded. She took a step forward, Jacob's hand fitting snugly around hers. As they reached the dance floor, she let herself be swept into the rhythm. The music swelled, wrapping around them like a warm embrace. Jacob pulled her closer, and for a moment, everything else faded: her worries, fears, the weight of expectations. It was just their laughter mingling with the melody, their bodies moving in sync, each twirl uncovering bits of courage she hadn't realized she still possessed. "You're a great dancer," he admitted, his voice low, almost lost in the music, but she heard him. She felt his admiration radiate, mingling with her own joy. "Just a little practice with Eli," she laughed, her cheeks flushing. But inside, it felt like more than practice: it was freedom. As they danced, she caught glimpses of those around them, the bride and groom, wrapped in their own world, friends switching partners, giggles and cheers punctuating the song. Each face told a different story, but Sarah's heart was only tethered to Jacob. He leaned closer, eyes sparkling with mischief, and whispered, "What do you think she meant by a second chance?" Her breath caught momentarily, a pang of hesitation bubbling to the surface. The question was simple, but her answer wasn't. A second chance at love? Did it mean confronting her fears, her past? I think it means being brave," she said, her heart pounding. "Taking risks even when it feels scary." Jacob's gaze softened. "And what if you jumped in only to realize the water's freezing?" A small silence stretched between them, the lively dance floor fading into the background. Sarah searched his eyes, wanting to tell him that she was scared but also that she believed. Sometimes, it's about trusting the leap even if the landing is uncertain. He nodded slowly, the weight of her words sinking in. "So what's the leap for you, Sarah?" The question struck like a bolt. It felt raw and vulnerable. What was she willing to leap toward? Breaking free from the past, or letting hope guide her? The thoughts swirled in her mind, but she realized this was at the moment to be honest with herself, and with Jacob. Before she could respond, the song took a slower turn, the beat transforming into something soft and intimate. People began to sway, wrapped in their own fragile bubbles of connection. "Let us take a little break," she suggested, her voice layered with nerves. They slipped away from the frenetic dance floor and found a quieter corner near the windows, the shimmering night sky creating a backdrop of magic. As the world faded away, she took another deep breath. "I need you to know there's a lot to unpack between us. I don't want to run from it." Jacob's eyes held hers, a mix of surprise and understanding flickering across his features. The air between them was thick with unspoken words, the kind that stripped away the noise and left only the rawest emotions hanging in the air. "I'm not going anywhere," he said quietly, sealing the unspoken agreement between them. The promise hung between them, a lifeline. But deep within her, another wave of uncertainty loomed. Was she truly ready to dive into this love? Just then, Eli's voice pierced the silence, calling for them to rejoin the dance. In that instant, Sarah looked at Jacob, and in the depths of his gaze, she sensed the answers she sought. With hearts pulsing in tandem, they stepped back toward the dance floor, each step a solid affirmation. But a lingering thought clung to her mind: what if diving deeper meant facing secrets she wasn't ready to confront? As they joined Eli and surrendered to the music again, Sarah couldn't shake the feeling that tonight would unravel much more than just a dance. Would revelations wait just around the corner, ready to reshape everything? Under the soft, twinkling lights of the reception, Sarah found herself forgetting the weight of her doubts, if only for a moment. Eli had seized his moment in the spotlight, spinning around with wild abandon, his laughter infectious. She couldn't help but smile, eyes dancing between her son and Jacob as they mirrored each other's carefree spirits. The music wrapped around them, soft yet persistent, like a gentle reminder of the life she was stepping into. Sarah felt Jacob's presence beside her, a steady anchor amidst the swirling chaos of the night. As she swayed to the music, this time no longer aware of anyone but the two of them, she felt a warmth radiating from him, a reassurance she desperately needed. "What are you thinking about?" he asked, breaking the comfortable silence that enveloped them. His tone was light, yet he searched her expression with those deep, earnest eyes, as if he sensed her internal struggle. Her heartbeat quickened. She hesitated for just a moment, still wrestling with the echoes of her fears. "I'm just thinking about how everything is changing. It feels like a page turning in an unexpected way." "Good changes or scary ones?" Jacob pressed gently, his voice steady as ever. "Maybe a mix of both?" Sarah admitted, biting her lip. "Part of me feels exhilarated, but another part." She paused, taking a breath she didn't even realize she was holding. "Part of me is terrified." He took a step closer, his fingers brushing lightly against her arm. "It's okay to be scared. It just means you care." For a moment, all the noise faded again, leaving just their eyes locked in understanding. Then, as if on cue, Eli re-emerged and tugged on Jacob's shirt. "Dad! Let us battle dance!" he exclaimed, hopping up and down with glee, oblivious to the gravity of the moment shared between them. Jacob chuckled and knelt down to Eli's level. "All right, champ. But I have to warn you, I learned some new moves recently." With a wink and a mischievous smile, he shot Sarah a quick glance, and excitement flickered through her. Eli hooped in delight, and the three of them moved to the center of the dance floor. It was a goofy contest, a wild mix of clumsy spins and over-the-top gestures to the laughter of their family and friends. Sarah lost herself in the joy of it all, her worries melting away beneath the laughter that spilled from her son and the thrill of Jacob's playful spirit. As they danced, heartbeats synchronized in energy, Sarah felt lighter, freer. For the first time in a while, doubts began to whisper less loudly. Perhaps it was possible to embrace the unknown, to leap without fear. But just as that lightness danced through her, a familiar face caught her eye, one she hadn't expected to see. Rachel, her old friend from college, stood at the edge of the room, her expression uncertain but thoughtful. She was someone from Sarah's past, someone tied to old wounds and lost connections. Rachel met Sarah's gaze and, for a heartbeat, the world around them dimmed. Sarah's pulse quickened, tension creeping back into her chest. What did Rachel want? What does it mean that she is here? As the upbeat tempo shifted back to a softer melody, the energy in the room transformed. Sarah felt Jacob gently squeeze her hand as if sensing her unease. "You all right?" he asked, concern etching his features. But all Sarah could do was nod, the weight of uncertainty returning. Tonight was supposed to be about new beginnings, yet all it took was one familiar face to throw her back into a whirlwind of questions. Rachel, standing still but watching intently, raised her drink slightly, a silent greeting or maybe an invitation to face what was left unresolved. The choice seemed monumental, tugging her between the safety of the moment and the ghosts of her past. Would embracing this party lead to a confrontation, or would it derail everything she was beginning to build? As Sarah weighed her options, she felt the energy shift again, pulling her toward a crossroads. What would she choose, confrontation or avoidance? Only time would tell, but as the music swelled once more, a spark of hope flickered. She might just be ready to find out. Sarah's heart raced as she caught Rachel's gaze, a familiar warm squeeze of confusion and nostalgia enveloping her. The once comforting memories they shared felt like a tightrope walk, balancing the past with the promise of the future. The laughter and joy around her began to fade into the background, all that remained was the weight of the moment, pregnant with the potential for disagreement or reconciliation. "Are you okay?" Jacob's voice broke through the fog of her thoughts. She nodded, though uncertainty flickered in her chest. "I think I need to talk to her," Sarah finally decided, resolute yet trembling inside. It was time to face her past. The decision felt monumental, sparks igniting a mix of fear and courage she hadn't experienced in years. As she took a step toward Rachel, she felt Jacob's hand slip away, but not before he offered a supportive nod. "I'll be right here," he assured, his smile grounding her in this moment of reckoning. Eli, oblivious to the emotional gravity, danced with a few of the guests, the carefree embodiment of hope and innocence. Each hop and twirl from him made her heart swell, reminding her that confronting her past could set an example for him. The courage to stand strong might ripple through every aspect of their lives. As Sarah approached Rachel, the noise around her faded into a quiet hum. The space between them felt charged, filled with unspoken history. Rachel, with soft eyes, watched her until Sarah finally gathered the strength to speak up. "Hey, Rachel," Sarah greeted, her voice steady, though her pulse raced. "Sarah." Rachel responded, warmth breaking through what was once a chasm of distance and silence. "I didn't expect to see you here," she said, a hint of sincerity lacing her voice. "I know," Sarah admitted, taking a deep breath to steady herself. "But I'm glad you're here. We need to talk about what happened between us." Rachel's expression softened, layers of regret reflecting in her eyes. "You're right. I'm sorry for how things ended. I shouldn't have walked away." Those words hung between them, heavy with emotion. Sarah's heart ached. Healing was messy and complex, just like the dance they shared with life. "Could we really talk about it?" Sarah struggled to keep her voice steady. "I miss having my friend back. Can we at least fix this?" Rachel nodded, her eyes glistening with unshed tears. "I would really like that. I've missed you too." With sincerity threading their conversation, they began to catch up, re-exploring the contours of their friendship, layer by layer, heartbreak by heartbreak. Each shared memory, despite the struggles, illuminated pathways often veiled by time. Sarah felt an unexpected bubbly warmth starting to rise within her as old laughter filled the space between them. The cracks began to mend, piece by piece, as vulnerability surfaced in both of their voices. "How's Eli doing?" Rachel asked, her eyes sparkling with genuine concern. He's amazing, Sarah beamed, turning momentarily toward her son, who was jumping around the dance floor, unaware of the beauty of the moment blossoming nearby. He's got this wild dream of becoming a chef. Wow, that's incredible. He's clearly got talent, Rachel replied, pride shining through her words. As they continued to talk, the laughter spilled back into their hearts like a soothing balm, and Sarah felt a wave of acceptance wash over her. There was not just healing from the past, but there was hope for a brighter future. Suddenly, the crowd began to shift back into celebration mode. A new song soared through the air, beckoning everyone back into the dance. Shall we? Rachel asked, holding out her hand like the friend she once was. Absolutely. Sarah replied, grasping her hand with newfound energy. Just then, Jacob appeared behind them, watching with a lightly amused expression. Are we dancing or are you two just catching up? He teased. Eli darted over, tugging Sarah's arm expectantly. Mom! Let's dance. His innocent eagerness brought laughter bubbling to her lips. With a shared glance of understanding, Sarah released the tension within her. Laughter erupted and twirled like a joyful flame. Together they formed a whirlwind of movement, laughter slicing through the air, weaving stories back together one step at a time. As they all danced, Sarah felt a sense of freedom coursing through her. This is what life was meant to be, the embracing of both joy and sorrow, of both love and forgiveness. In the swirl of movement and camaraderie, she saw a future filled with promise, with Eli in the center, Jacob lingering with affection, and Rachel by her side. In that moment of connection, time seemed to stretch infinitely, a wondrous echo of what lay ahead. As the beat pulsed and energy soared, hope danced in vibrant hues all around them. It was an affirmation that every story, no matter how fractured, held the potential for a beautiful conclusion. Sarah smiled, her heart full, because she finally believed they were on the cusp of something truly extraordinary, a second chance not just for her, but for all of them. This was not merely a night of celebration, it was a beginning of profound transformation, sculptured by connection, swimming alongside joy and fueled by love. As the music played on, Sarah took Jacob's hand once more, ready to leap into this new chapter together. And here, surrounded by friends and laughter, she found a clarity she didn't know she was searching for. They were all dancing toward a brighter tomorrow, ready for whatever came next. This was their moment, bound not just by joy, but by the unyielding power of hope. Now, it's your turn. You need to subscribe now so you don't miss out on the next exclusive stories that will inspire you to confront your own journeys. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and share in this magical moment. Comment your reactions and feelings about this ending, share the love and encouragement, and let us celebrate together. And don't wait not even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. Only true fans understand the importance of supporting the channel through these actions. Let us keep spreading love and hope.